Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, into the Adam Carriker Show. The dawn of a new era. Day number 7. All right, live in studios Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Steve Taylor won't let me in on Wednesday, so he does his thing, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch each weekday, or 4 of the weekdays, and 5 if you want to join Steve. And come join us here on the Adam Carriker Show, the loaded hour. All right, VJack does the fastest 2 hours. We got the loaded hour, and it really is loaded. I don't know if you can see. All right, like Jake, seriously, 1, 2, 3, 7. And then this is my handwritten chicken scratch. I once got all A's and a C in 5th grade, and my dad was pissed about the C. Let's just ignore the A's. Love you, Dad, but I digress. He was right. My handwriting was terrible. Now it's just slightly below average. Got lots of notes, got lots of stuff to talk about. All right. Some fine folks made a phenomenal decision to boost their business. Starting next week, we will have some sponsors here on the show. They made a phenomenal business decision. Honestly, phenomenal businesses. The more I learn about them, the more I chat about them, the more I get excited to promote. All right, the 2 businesses we're going to start promoting here on the show next week. I like to be associated with good people, good businesses. All right. And so if you are interested in promoting your business here live on the show, I'm like the only guy that'll do this, and I don't care. It's all right. If you want to be a sponsor on the show, hit us up. CarrikerChronicles.com. You can message me. You can message Jake Sorensen. Actually, this guy hit up Corn Crazed on YouTube. Connor Hayden shared my number with him, and that's how he got a hold of me, and I've learned about his phenomenal business and how they grow their food. So you don't even have to go to the grocery store, honestly, if you want to. But we'll learn more about that in the future. If you're interested in doing the same thing and boosting your business, I'd love to learn more about it to see if it's a good fit. Message us here at The Ticket. You can message me, Jake Sorensen, Derek Pearson, Jake, my man Jake over there. I'm sure he'd help us out as well. All right, the loaded show. Nebraska moving up in the rankings. If Nebraska goes 3-0, 4-0, everybody's talking about 7-0 already. We still got 5 Saturdays. That ball bounces funny. We still got 5 Saturdays, ladies and gentlemen. Because like I was telling VJack before we started this show, everyone's talking about 7-0. Before the season, I was like, let's get to 2-0. We should beat Northern Iowa this Saturday. But let's get to 4-0, and then I'm going to take it one game at a time. Okay, our first road game of the year at Purdue. Dylan Raiola's first ever game as a starting quarterback for the Huskers on the road in West Lafayette, playing Purdue game 5. Game 6, Rutgers will not be a pushover. They also have the easiest schedule of any Big Ten team I've ever seen in history. So the heck is that about? But God bless you, except when we play you in mid-September. And then Indiana, before we get into that back 5-game stretch of Nebraska's schedule. But I want to talk about getting to 3-0, then 4-0. So we're going to talk about Nebraska potentially moving up in the rankings, what that could look like as this season goes along. Recruiting. The number 1 player in the state of Nebraska, Mr. Christian Jones, Omaha West Side linebacker. Really about the only top recruit that wasn't committed somewhere out of the state of Nebraska, committed to the Huskers earlier this week. One of the top players in the country, as well as being the top player in the state, is now committed to Nebraska and the Huskers. And he seems pretty confident. Doesn't seem like a kid that's going to waver. So that's exciting. I got a whole bunch of college football surprises here. And I actually want to chat about that with Jake throughout the next hour. I mean, what is going on with Oregon? Holy crap, is Miami good again? Good Lord, Tennessee. First of all, their quarterback's name is Nico Iamaleava. God, I nailed it. I practiced that. I'm proud of myself, Jake. I practiced that. So I actually wrote it out. Iamaleava. Okay. And he's playing great. Tennessee's defense is like actually really, really good as well. All right. 51-10? They dominated a ranked North Carolina State team and terrorized Grayson McCall, their quarterback, Notre Dame. What in the world is going on with you? USC plays defense now? Like what? Michigan? Vershawn thinks they're going to go in the dark ages. I think that's a bit extreme. Texas. God, why do I have to talk about them? I don't. It's my show. Jake, quit putting it in my notes. He didn't. I did. It's okay. Boise State. I actually think they're going to be worthy of being a playoff team at the end. But we're going to get to all that. Let's start off. Nebraska potentially moving up in the rankings. So let's look at the rankings right now. And this is obviously prefaced by Nebraska starting off by going 3-0, then 4-0. Now you look at Northern Iowa. All right. They are a team, they're used to playing FBS teams. They're an FCS team, 21st in the country in the FCS level, undefeated, 2-0. Played a team that I thought was a high school, no disrespect. I know it's not respectful, but no disrespect intended. At least as long as you say with all due respect, and you can say whatever you want, right, Jake? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Jake doesn't know what to say. I don't blame him. And the other team they played doesn't even hand out scholarships. So what do we really know about them? Here's what we do know. Their coach has been there since 2001. That's darn near a quarter of a century. They've taken Iowa down to the wire since 2001 two different times. They've actually beaten FBS teams. They took Michigan down to the wire within the last decade. So during Jim Harbaugh's tenure in the big house, I might add. Now, Nebraska's a 28.5-point favorite. And I already gave my prediction on the captain. But if you weren't tuning in then, I will give it at the end of this show. We're going to go through the top 6 games, top 5 in college football plus Nebraska, and give our predictions at the end of this show. And I will give it then. And I am allowed to change my mind between now and then if I want. But we'll see what happens. All right. Let's start with Nebraska potentially moving up in the rankings. So here's what the rankings look like right now. Georgia, they look good. Texas, they look good. God, I just threw up a little. All right, Ohio State, they don't look as good as I thought they would. They have 21 of the best players in America. Actually, 22. No disrespect, Will Howard, but those 2 running backs can start on any team in the country. So there's 22. That 23rd player is their quarterback, who's a good football player. Okay, my former co-host for the Big Ten show, Rhett Lewis, went down to the Manning camp, the top 11 quarterbacks in the country. And when he talked about the guys that stood out throwing the ball, Will Howard was one of them, which frankly surprised me. That has not carried over to the season so far. They have an NFL defense, the Buckeyes do. They have the elite of the elite talent at the skill positions. They've got to get more out of their quarterback than they have through 2 games, but it is early on. I just can't get out of my mind that if he was at Kansas State, he wouldn't be the starting quarterback. Alabama, Ole Miss, Missouri, Tennessee, Penn State, Oregon is somehow still in the AP poll top 10. Somehow they're ahead of Miami, who has looked great. USC at 11. Both those teams will look better in Oregon. This is why the preseason rankings are dumb. If you look at the first 2 games, Miami and USC should easily be top 10. And I had Oregon at 11, Boise State at 12 when I was chatting with VJack earlier on the captain. If you just look at how those 3 teams have looked, there's no way Oregon has looked better than Miami and USC. But Miami and USC were much lower in the top 25. Oregon was top 4. So they must stay ahead of them because preseason rankings make sense. They're fun. I actually am glad we don't get rid of them. I also like to mock them. All right. Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Oklahoma, LSU, Michigan, Notre Dame, Louisville, Arizona, Iowa State, Clemson, Nebraska at 23. So to move up the rankings, Clemson, first of all, we got to beat Northern Iowa. Illinois, the team's that's going to come in here probably 3-0. They're going to come in here 3-0. We're probably going to come to Memorial Stadium, not in here, but go to Memorial Stadium 3-0. A battle of undefeated, so to speak. On a Friday night, 400 consecutive sellout at Memorial Stadium, every home game since 1962. It's going to be a big night. It's going to be another fun, electric atmosphere. I don't like that it's on a Friday. Okay, Fridays are for high schools. But the Big Ten Network said we need to make more money. So you have games on Fridays. That's going to be a good game. And I'll talk more about it next week, obviously. For now, let's say Nebraska wins and they're 4-0. I'm not going to go past the first 4 games. I'm as excited about anybody at the prospect of being 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. When I asked Michael Severe Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, is Nebraska going to be 7-0? He didn't answer my question. He said, I'll go 6-0. I like Michael, so I didn't press him. Plus, he's interviewed me a million times, and he's never been hard on me. And he's really smart. He would have had a great answer. But really, Jake was cracking the whip because he's mean, and I had to stick to the time. So if you look at who's ahead of Nebraska, Clemson, terrible loss already this year. Notre Dame, terrible loss already this year. Michigan, terrible loss already this year. LSU, quality loss to USC. And I know that sounds like quality loss. Well, it went into overtime, and either team could have won. They didn't get a mud hole stomped in them like Michigan did. They didn't get embarrassed by a team that's now ranked, I guess, Northern Illinois, like what Northern Illinois did to Notre Dame when they outgained Notre Dame, outrushed Notre Dame, and won the turnover battle in Notre Dame Stadium. It's the worst I've seen somebody come into Notre Dame Stadium and just take over their house since Nebraska fans did it in 2000. Overtime win, Nebraska, Eric Crouch scores the game-winning touchdown, by the way, if you remember that day. Still some of my favorite pictures to look at. So my point is, getting ahead of Clemson, Michigan, Notre Dame wouldn't be that hard if we keep winning. Oklahoma doesn't look the best so far. They're at 15. Kansas State. Yeah, they're 2-0, but they squeaked by Tulane. They were down by, 10 points at halftime? Ended up winning by about a touchdown. Oklahoma State, overtime. Arkansas is not supposed to be good this year. It took them overtime at home to beat Arkansas. They're the 13th team in the country. So I look at 13, Oklahoma State, 14, Kansas State, 15, Oklahoma, who hasn't looked great, but they haven't really been tested yet either. LSU, who actually I think should be ranked ahead of a lot of these teams, but they're at 16. Michigan, Notre Dame, Louisville. I'm never going to buy into Louisville unless it's basketball. Arizona, they're not the same without their coach. They lost a lot of players. They're going to be a good team, but I don't know if they finish ranked. Iowa State beat Iowa. And Clemson, then Nebraska. Behind us is Boston College and Northern Illinois. The two teams who probably have two of the most impressive wins of the year. Boston College whooping Florida State's rear end sideways, which becomes less and less impressive when that happens every weekend, seemingly. And Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame. If we're 4-0, I 100% predict we can be mid to high teens. I think some of these other teams in front of us will lose. Arizona's going to play Kansas State this weekend. I got Kansas State winning. So there's a spot. Louisville's going to lose at some point. They play Georgia Tech this weekend. I predict Georgia Tech wins. If we just win, we can move up 2 spots there. I think we can be about 16th, 17th or 18th. High to mid-teens if Nebraska's 4-0. And we look halfway decent. And there's going to be a lot of people watching the battle of the undefeateds, if that happens, Illinois and Nebraska on a Friday night in a couple of weeks. Again, don't overlook Northern Iowa. My goal, because sometimes it's easy to get motivated for certain games like Colorado. How do you not get motivated for that game? Are you kidding me? Northern Iowa can be a little bit harder, especially after an emotional, big momentum win like Colorado. How do you get back up each and every time? These are human beings we're talking about. You find a goal. You can be like Michael Jordan and pretend everyone hates you. Worked for him. I'm not knocking it. I've told people I didn't come to Nebraska with a chip on my shoulder. I came here with a whole forest on my shoulder. One of the first articles I ever saw when I stepped on campus, Adam Carriker, too slow, unathletic, going to have to go play O-line. Clearly, I've forgotten all about that. So my point is, how do you find ways to motivate yourself? It's really not that hard if you're a competitor. My goal, if I'm in that Nebraska locker room right now, we aren't on the field in the fourth quarter, and we barely touched the field in the second half. Heinrich Harburg should be on the field in the third quarter. We should be seeing Daniel Kalen, Jalen Gromstad in the fourth quarter. We should be seeing a lot of the backups in the fourth quarter, if not the third quarter. That's the goal. So I think Nebraska can be 17th, 18th, 19th, maybe 16th. Probably 17, 18, 19. They go 4-0. All right, let's talk a little recruiting. Currently, in the Big Ten Conference, so up until now, we were consistently The fourth most talented roster year after year after year. Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Nebraska. Well, now we got these doinks from the West Coast. By the way, I was born in Hastings. My dad's job took him upstate of Washington when I was 3, so that's really where I grew up. So when I say doinks from the West Coast, I can say it because I grew up and was one of those doinks for a while. Still might be. Jake, don't laugh. All right. But Oregon and USC are now up there ahead of us, but that's okay. They're pretty good, seemingly so. Right now, the top-ranked recruiting class in the Big Ten, Oregon. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Penn State. Number 4, Michigan. Number 5, USC. Number 6, Nebraska. We are consistently ahead of Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Let's start beating those teams, huh? Let's not just be more talented. Let's be better at football. So when you look at Nebraska, ton of commits. All right, they got a ton of commits so far, as much or more than anybody in the country. But let's look at the ones from Nebraska. All right. Christian Jones, number 12 outside linebacker in the country, 6'3", 215, fast, athletic, Omaha West Side, just committed. I will talk about TJ Lateef. There were some rumors last summer that his recruitment was still wide open, so who knows? Still committed to Nebraska for now. All right, Caden Vermas out of Omaha. All right, Millard North High School, 6 foot, 190 pounds. This is one of those guys that you kind of find that you think can surprise people once he gets on campus. I call him Matt Rule's specialty. Tyson Terry out of Omaha North. Number 4, 44 defensive tackle in the country, 6'3", 300 pounds. This is the guy that kind of fits what Tony White wants to do. It fits what this 3-3-5 scheme wants to do. That's why he fits well. He's going to have to get here and improve and develop. There's certain guys you're like, they can contribute right now. He's the guy that can contribute, going to have to improve and develop. And if he does that, he can contribute sooner than later. Jackson Carpenter. This is a guy just an athlete. He's just an athlete. 6'1", 185, Lincoln Southwest. And at some point, I'll go through a lot more of the recruits. But for the sake of time today, Jay cracking the whip. Going to focus on the Nebraska guys because we just got the number 1 player in the state of Nebraska to commit. Jackson Carpenter is a guy who can jump. He can run fast. Needs to improve pure football skills, and that's not a jab. Not a jab at all. Guess what? 99.9% of people who come to college have to improve on something, if not a lot of things. For him, he's got the athleticism. Those finite football skills, get those developed, and that's kind of what Matt Rule's staff is pretty good at. Connor Booth, number 70th running back in the country out of Wahoo, 6 foot, 215 pounds. Another one of those guys that can surprise you down the road. Another Matt Rule specialty, potentially. Almost like a John Bullock on defense to a degree. Not the exact same, but to a degree. And Pierce Newberry, all right? Number 86 linebacker, outside linebacker in the country, 6'3", 200 pounds, Millard North High School. Athletic, fast, got to put on some size. But every single one of those guys I just mentioned, by the way, from the state of Nebraska, but guys who can contribute, and sooner rather than later. So far, already, got quite a ways before National Signing Day. 6 Nebraska guys. Last year, 8. The year before, 8. 2 years in a row. That was the most amount of in-state Nebraska guys to sign with the Huskers since 1998, when it was 8 that year as well. I'm excited to see what these kids can do and how they can be developed. And I look at a kid like Jalen Lloyd from Omaha, had a lot of talent potential. I see a lot of that in a lot of these kids. And with proper development, being put in the proper places, much like Jalen, they can potentially contribute sooner rather than later, but part of that's on them as well. I'm excited, very excited to see what they can do. You look at the top recruiting classes in the country. Georgia, Alabama, USC, Miami, blah, blah, blah. Down here at number 18 is Nebraska. Now, the sheet I'm looking at says we have 32 commits. Is that right? Jay, can you double check that?
I think we have 19.
I was going to say, that's not right. I knew it was as much or more than just about anybody, but I didn't think it was 32. All right, typo. So we are right behind Penn State at 15, Michigan at 16, USC at 17, Nebraska 18. Aha, we're in front of our good buddies, Texas's little brother, Texas A&M. Our former Big 8 buddies and Big 12 buddies, Missouri at 20. All right, so Matt Rule's recruiting well. He likes to find those diamonds in the rough, and he likes to develop them. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see the players from Nebraska being emphasized. I'm excited to see athleticism being developed, not just brought in, but being developed and put to good use. All right, we better get to break. When we come back, Husker football legend, national champion, All-American, a man who's in that football building each and every day, sees the insides and outs of that program, the coaches and the players right here, right now. Mr. Brenden Stai will join me. Don't go anywhere.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session, and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Follow the Huskers to the City of Angels when Nebraska plays at USC in November. Book your official Nebraska alumni travel package at huskerfantravel.com. Choose from 2 or 3 night options that include a downtown LA hotel, exclusive welcome event, game day transportation, and the official Husker Huddle pregame party. Add on game tickets for an optional upgrade. Transportation to and from LA not included. Join the official Nebraska alumni trip to see the Huskers play at USC. Spots are limited, so book your trip now at huskerfantravel.com.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Attention students and anyone else looking for a great deal. Sun Valley Lanes and Games has the ultimate weeknight special. For just $15.95, enjoy unlimited bowling, lucky putt mini golf, and laser tag. Flash your college ID at check-in to receive $2 off your admission. It's the perfect way to unwind Sunday through Thursday nights. Check out sunvalleylanes.com for hours and availability. Sun Valley Lanes and Games, located at 321 Victory Lane.
Lincoln's best place to meet, eat, and compete. Sun Valley.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting lincolnteammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's special through September 17th is $2 off fresh packs of ground beef. Also, $10 off all sauces. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Highway 2 in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Hey guys, it's Austin with 93.7 The Ticket. Our second week of NFL coverage continues on Thursday with an AFC East clash between the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. In Week 1, Buffalo defended home field with a 34-28 win over the Arizona Cardinals, while Miami pitched a second-half shutout of the Jaguars to come from behind and win 20-17. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 p.m. with kickoff from Miami slated for 7:15. Catch all the biggest NFL games right here on Lincoln's home for the NFL, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. I'm fighting with the mic, and the mic is winning. That's all right, though. All right, as always, you can check out the Carriker Chronicles, CarrikerChronicles.com. Also on the Tube of You, YouTube, I just interviewed Eric Crouch, a Husker legend, current Nebraska Blackshirt, single-digit earner and wearer, one of my favorite guys on the team. I'll say it for the 4 millionth time. They're not my kids, so I can have favorites. I just put them both out on YouTube and CarrikerChronicles.com. Now, I'm joined by another Husker legend here on 93.7 The Ticket. Check out everything The Ticket at theticketfm.com. This man was a third-round draft pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers, a first-team All-American, second-team All-American, first-team All-Big 8. Did we lose him? All right, Brenden doesn't want to talk to me. No, I think we got disconnected. So Jake's going to hit him back up. And while we're working to get Brenden back on the line, Brenden Stai, if you didn't know, okay, will be joining us here shortly. Some surprises in college football. And the first one I'm going to talk about makes me mad. And I'm not a Florida State guy. Of the three, I still don't pay attention to UCF and USF and Florida Atlantic and Florida International, no disrespect. But of the three major schools there, Florida State was my favorite, but they're like 1,000th on my list of the 133 favorite schools in the country. Did we get them back? All right. Jake's going to reach out to Brenden. They got rid of the tomahawk chop chant on third down. And even I think that's asinine. Is he back on the line? We're going to talk about how asinine getting rid of the tomahawk chop chant is down at Florida State on third down after we talk with the Husker legend, Mr. Brenden Stai. How you doing, my friend?
Adam, how are you?
Dude, I'm good. I appreciate you joining me. All right, so I got like 4 million questions. I'll round it down to 3, and I'll only keep you here for 5 hours if that's cool. All right?
That's reasonable.
Somewhat reasonable. All right, first question right out the gate. Dude, you're there every day. Practices, the players, the coaches. Okay, whatever level you're comfortable going in depth on this, you go. But what is different from now to a couple of years ago to a rule taken over last year? It appears to just be getting better and improving at a noticeable pace. What is different in your opinion from your vantage point?
Well, I think probably number one would be the accountability across the board, from coaches to players. It seems over the last year and a half, going on 2 years, that the accountability is at a high level. And when I say that, people sit back and go, well, how do you compare that? Well, so I look at all the experiences I had in that space as far as on the collegiate level, professional level, the business and the space that I'm in now. Everybody has a role. The responsibility of that person has to be inclusive of the team, and the accountability level has to be at the highest. And, when I left here, I really felt like it was at the very highest level back in 1994 under Coach Osborne. And with that being said, you ask about like what's underneath accountability. Well, it's the professionalism in which you approach your job. And I think Matt Rule and his staff and these players have really taken that to the next level. And you're seeing it. The accountability starts with the little things, but those little things, Adam, as you know, those matter in the long run. And the more you can build on those little things, the more success you're going to have both on and off the field. And, there's a lot of things that we do here at Nebraska athletics that are at a very high level. Number one being academics. And winning is pretty much everything these days. And we win comprehensively with all sports. Unfortunately for football over the last decade or so, the winning hasn't been there. And so why is that? Well, you can point the arrow at a lot of different things, but I think it boils down to the amount of accountability and the professionalism that you approach your job every single day that has mattered.
So you're absolutely right with everything you say, starting with I'm a detail-oriented guy. If I decide something doesn't matter, I'm the most disorganized person in the world. But if I decide something actually matters to me, I am the most organized, detail-oriented person you'll meet. And I don't mind driving other people nuts with it. But what I'll say to them is little things add up to big things really quickly. So you make a phenomenal point. I'm going to share a story from last spring real quick. I was allowed to sit on the D-line meetings, and one of the younger guys was kind of screwing around. One of the older guys in the room turned around to him and said, "Shut the F up and pay attention." I almost gave him a standing ovation, except I didn't want to interrupt the meeting. But, dude, is that the type of accountability that you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. And it's on every level. If it's in the classroom, if it's on the field, if it's outside of, what they're doing here at the university with the athletic program, and this is for all sports, but football in particular, there's an amount of, I think, self-policing that these young men have to have, and it starts with leadership. Leadership it comes in all shapes and form. Some guys lead by example, some guys lead with their words, and some guys do both. And unless you have the guys that lead with both that are going to hold each other accountable, then things kind of get swept under the rug. And when that happens, those small little things, they just keep accruing into a losing atmosphere in culture. And then all of a sudden, things aren't going well. People start to point fingers, and it's easy to do that. So holding each other accountable at the highest level with everything they do is really important. And where that comes from, I don't care if you're a sophomore, as long as you're doing and saying all the right things, you're allowed to voice your opinion. Now, certainly you have to earn that respect, but it should come from the older guys. The leadership level should come from the older guys because they've gotten their teeth kicked in. They've gone through everything that it takes, and they've done all the little things to get to that point to actually have a voice.
I think you're 100% right. I've always said coaches are the directors. They tell you and point to you where you should go, but the veterans on the team should be the leaders. And to your point, it can be a young guy. When a guy like Dylan Raiola goes and runs gassers with the defense when the rest of the offense isn't necessarily required to do so in camp, that's leadership, despite your age, even despite your position. So I think you make a phenomenal point there. I've got to ask, because we had heard about accountability, and we've heard the C word, culture, for so long to a point where people don't even want to hear it anymore. And when I dropped the C word, I could almost feel people rolling their eyes through the radio as I talk to them or on TV as they're watching me. Why, after we've heard about this for so long, what is different now? Why is it actually different now?
Well, you talked about it. It's leadership. I think it starts with Matt Rule. Coming into this situation, obviously his background, his resume, and doing what he did at Temple and in Baylor, and then going through the ringer of the NFL, instantly, I think, gives him the credibility. But it's one thing to have credibility. It's another thing to actually follow through on it. So he came in here and he set the tone at the very highest level, and he's not wavered one day. And not only, obviously, with his players, but with his coaches, with the fans, with administration, with donors, he's never wavered. And I think when you have that kind of leadership, and go back to Coach Osborne, you never had a guy that was too high, never too low. He was always the same guy, and you could count on that. And Matt Rule, to his level of intensity, has never wavered from that. And I think it starts with Coach Rule.
All right, man, to your point, like, there's people with credentials. Those same people don't always have credentials and respect. And I think that's something that Matt Rule's been able to garner so far early on in his tenure here at the University of Nebraska. So that's a phenomenal point. All right, man, you got Northern Iowa this weekend, then Illinois coming in, and then Purdue, and then Rutgers, and then Indiana, and then Ohio State, and everyone's talking 7-0, game of the year, game day versus Ohio State. We got 5 games to play. starting with one this weekend versus the team that is used to playing FBS opponents and used to playing Power 5 teams, Iowa and Michigan, on the road in their house. So how do the Huskers, after a well-deserved, momentum-building, highly emotional win versus Colorado in an electric atmosphere last Saturday at Memorial Stadium, how do they keep that focus just as sharp as they get ready to play Northern Iowa and then Illinois in under a week, on a short week on a Friday night?
Well, you talked about it, 1-0. I think Coach Rule, his philosophy, every week you're approaching this as we want to go 1-0, respecting your opponent, certainly. And I think in today's game, there's much more parity. So every team has the ability to go anywhere, really, and match up if you've got your guard down. So that 1-0 mentality, I think, really is where you start. And you certainly have to take a hard look at what you're doing wrong. Certainly, you want to affirm the highlights of games. But as you know, as a former player, you're only as good as you think you are until you watch that film, and things are glaring. You can have games where you feel like you played terrible, and you actually played pretty good. So having the ability to go back, correct the mistakes, approaching this game with the utmost respect for you and I. They're a great running football team. We've got a lot to prove when it comes to stopping the run yet. So there's a lot of goals that are set out in front of us right now, but I think having that mentality of 1-0, dealing with the team coming in here and trying to be, the upset team of the year, if you will, and not having a letdown is huge.
All right, man, we're going to go back to your playing days. Let's talk about going into that 95 Orange Bowl, the 94 championship season. You're getting ready to play the Hurricanes. All right, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He wasn't known as that then, but he was on the team. Ray Lewis, Warren Sapp. And you're asked to actually go from right guard to left guard going into that Orange Bowl, the original pipeline, one of the greatest O-lines, if not the greatest in the history of Nebraska football. When you were asked to go from right to left guard, to go head-to-head with Warren Sapp, what were your thoughts? What was your reaction? What was that process like, getting ready for that Orange Bowl, switching sides?
Well, I'd only been in Coach Osborne's office twice, to be honest with you. After my second semester here, I went from a 3.6 down to a 2.8. So we had a discussion about where I was spending most of my time. and then fast forward, going into that that first week of preparation for our bowl game. So we sat down and we talked about the Oklahoma game, and really a couple different things that he was talking about. One, the outcome of that game, certainly we won. We went against a really good defense in Oklahoma. The right side of the line graded much higher than the left side. And there was a sense and a philosophy that if we could, balance that out a little bit to bring those percentages up was one philosophy. And then the other philosophy was, this was probably the most talented, if not fastest defense that we had seen that year, and certainly I had ever seen. When we started playing them, it was true, but. It was hard for me initially because I knew it would create a little bit of unsettling in our room in particular, because you're so used to as an offensive line playing next to each other, having nonverbal communication. Things change when somebody moves a position. Certainly, guys get hurt and guys plug in. So the consistency of play really comes from piling up those games and those snaps next to each other. So I was a little concerned with that. Certainly how Joel would feel moving over to the right guard to play next to Zach, and how Rob would feel having me move over to the left and play next to him. So there's a little concern there. But, again, you hear it all the time. I'm a team player. I think most of the guys on the team understood that we would do anything it took to win, put ourselves in a position to win. And then after talking with him a little bit about that, we talked about some of the plays that we were thinking about and designing, really to take their speed and use it against them, in particular with Warren Sapp. And so if you watch that game, throughout that game, he was insanely quick. The guy, he's probably one of the better free techniques in college football history. There's a few of them that came out of Miami. Cortez Kennedy, there's quite a few guys, but it was taking their speed and using it against them. And so that short trap play we designed in particular to utilize, and Coach Osborne actually talked about it last Friday night at our 30-year reunion. But really, essentially, not even blocking the guy, letting him, just fly off the football, come up the field, and then next thing you know, Corey's scoring a touchdown on a quick inside trap. So there was a lot that went into it. If you've ever played offensive line and had to switch sides, it's not an easy thing. You go from left side of brain to right side of brain, vice versa. So there was an adjustment for me, in particular, kind of bouncing the plays from the left to the right in my head, right to left, as well as, your technique. When your stance, you're really supposed to stagger based on the side that you're on. So if you're right guard, you stagger your right foot. You're left guard, you stagger your left. And I told Milt I would do that. I just didn't want to switch my hands. So here I am in a left-handed, left guard stance, right, with my right hand down. If you watch that game, I didn't put my left hand down. So there was little things that I kept, and then again, you have to get used to the footwork, right? So Aaron Graham stepping on my feet the whole entire game during the Orange Bowl. It's because I'm underneath him and he's not used to it. But there was a lot that went into getting ready for that game, a lot of preparation. I think we scrimmaged a couple, 3 times just to verify and really be crystal clear on what was fair going in and who started as far as Brooke and Tommy. And I thought Coach did a good job with that.
Yeah, when I interviewed Coach Osborne 3 weeks ago now, I asked him if he had a most memorable game. And obviously there's a lot of options for him to choose from. He actually chose that 95 Orange Bowl versus Miami. I think getting that first national championship as a head coach obviously is unique and special to him for obvious reasons. All right, last question. And I love asking guys this question who played in 94 or 95 and or both. And it really started with Rob Zadika about, 6-7 years ago, said this randomly on his Doc Talk podcast. Shout out to Doc and Travis. Go check out Doc Talk podcast. They do a great job. But he believes to this day that 94 Nebraska would have beaten 95 Nebraska. Now, I'm fully well aware this is a loaded question, which is why I think it's fun and I have no dog in the fight. But who would have won? 94 Nebraska? Because his argument is 95 Nebraska was all of 94 Nebraska's backups. Who do you think would have won? 94, if we could play this game out, or 95 Huskers?
Well, who's that starting quarterback, 94, 95?
Oh, that's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Right. But, to be honest with you, I think that there's probably, advantages on both sides. Now, if you were looking at the offensive line, there's a reason why we were the starters, right? In 95, I think a lot of people felt like there'd be a drop-off there. But starting with Aaron Graham, I think, he took those guys and said, hey, listen, we can be as good, if not better. And if you look at the numbers on the ground, they were better than us. Now, across the board, talent-wise, defensively, I thought we were getting to that level of dominance on defense. I felt like the 95 team had kind of grown one more year with some of those younger guys like the Grant Wistroms of the world, the Jason Peters of the world. Of course, Christian was still there. Linebacker-wise, they had grown. Of course, we lost Ed, but a core of those guys had remained on defense. So I thought defensively, from a skill position, from the defensive back all the way up front, that front seven, maybe they had the advantage of with us from that 94 team. But across the board, there was a lot of parity. It'd be a close game.
All right, man. That's a great non-answer answer, but I appreciate it. That's all right.
Of course, with the 94 team squeaking one out.
There you go. Now we had a little bit of fun. All right, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you for taking time to join me and all you do for the Husker football players and the Husker football program. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. Coming up this Saturday in EPL action, Liverpool plays Nottingham Forest at 9 a.m. And then at 11:30 a.m., Aston Villa plays Everton. On Sunday, Tottenham plays Arsenal at 8 a.m. And then the last game on Sunday is Wolves playing Newcastle. The top two teams in the EPL standings are both Liverpool and Manchester City, both 3-0. You can catch all these matches and more at McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at 8th and P.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The Electrical Workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Aloe Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit aloefiber.com to switch today.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh yeah, this is a game changer.
Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks, exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agricultural storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
Rick Heyman from Sauter Heyman Jewelers here. Shop the Wedding Band Expo September 12th through the 14th at Sauter Heyman Jewelers. Choose a wedding band that will stand the test of time or an anniversary band to celebrate time spent together. Only at the Wedding Band Expo. You'll save 20% off all wedding and anniversary bands. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Wedding Band Expo, September 12th through the 14th. All 3 locations. Find the ring of your dreams at the price you'll love. SauterHeyman.com in Lincoln and Grand Island.
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting WeFixBasements.com or call 402-804-1024. F Foundation Repair. We fix basements.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine and it will be breezy. We'll see an afternoon high around 88. Tonight, clear skies with an overnight low around 60. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies return. It'll be breezy too with the high around 88. I'm meteorologist Kyle Clutch for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and we are out of the gate for September with a very special GMC sales offer. We must move out all new GMC truck inventory fast. So right now at Koppel, we are offering true GM supplier pricing for everyone. Yes, you heard right. True GM supplier pricing on all GMC Sierras. That's over $12,000 off on select models. That's GM supplier pricing, $12,000 off on Sierras. Do not wait. Stop on in or check us out online at koppelcars.com.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. As always, check out everything 93.7 The Ticket related at theticketfm.com, on YouTube, podcast platforms, Amazon Prime, radio, TV, every frickin' where. We're building a monster here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to be part of it. Also, Carriker Chronicles at carrikerchronicles.com. Also on YouTube, check out the Carriker Chronicles. 95% Husker sports. Well, let's be real. 99.9% Husker sports and 95% Husker football. But we're going to talk a little college football right here, right now. Here are some of my surprises so far this season. Okay, but before we dive into that, I like to take little jabs at Jake because he's a good dude and he'll take it. But Jake, if you want to retort and fire shots at me or whatever you want to do, you can say wonderful things too. It's your choice. Do you have anything you'd like to throw out there now?
No, so far you haven't gotten on my bad side. So
not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Give it time. It's early.
All right.
Nothing else?
No. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, oh yeah, I want to start with Nebraska volleyball. Actually, how dare I forget that? Let's see. Nebraska volleyball, 6-1, number 2 in the country. All right, start off by beating Kentucky, number 9 in the country. Beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi, beat TCU, beat SMU, which is for some reason in the ACC, beat the Citadel, beat Montana State. Hold on.
They lost to SMU.
Lost to SMU. I was like, wait a minute, something ain't right in there. Lost to SMU. That was ugly. Got swept. Wasn't pretty. Sometimes you got to get your butt spanked like a 4-year-old at Kmart to grow up and act like an adult. In this case, sometimes it's your wake-up call. That's happened for me in my career, and they played much better since. All right. Since they swept the Citadel, swept Montana State, and beat another top 10 team in Creighton. Never, ever J-Scur, ladies and gentlemen. There's no excuse for it unless you went to one school and your kid goes to another. Then you need to reevaluate your parenting skills. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, Nebraska volleyball is off to a hot 6-1 start, and they're actually currently ranked number 5 in the country. Pitt has jumped up to number 1. Stanford is number 2. Penn State is number 3. Louisville, Danny Busboom doing her thing down there. All right. Number 4, Nebraska. Number 5, Texas is 2-2 right now. Man. Am I going to shed 0 tears over that? All right, Nebraska volleyball off to a good start. We will keep you updated as the season goes along. Surprises so far this year in college football. They took the tomahawk chop away from Florida State and their fans at home on 3rd down. What in the blue hell is wrong with those people? I'm not even a Florida State person, and I look forward to the tomahawk chop. The Atlanta Braves, the tomahawk chop. The Kansas City Chiefs, the tomahawk chop. Why in the world would you want to take that away? You want to know why? Because nameless, faceless bureaucrats didn't like it, and they just had to have their way. They actually took it away a year ago. But you know why we didn't hear about it last year, Jake? Because they were undefeated. They suck right now, so we're going to hear all about it. Winning cures all, ladies and gentlemen. I don't understand it. And frankly, that's bad for college football. The tomahawk chop is iconic. No, it's third down. It's the most important down. Let's take away one of the most iconic, intimidating, loudest things in the history of college football. Let's not let our team have this advantage. Yeah, that sounds great. Now, there's rumors that the players requested that it be gone, which I don't believe. I mean, I don't believe it. Also, their team is built through the transfer portal, by the way. Not as much as Colorado. Nobody's as much as Colorado. And if you want to use the word built with Colorado, I'm going to use it very loosely. They're wearing the same jerseys and they came from the transfer portal. But Florida State is built through the transfer portal. So a lot of these players won't even be there in a year or two. This tradition's been around and been iconic for, like 100 years plus? So if it was the players, which I find hard to believe, that's asinine. And if it's somebody else in a suit adjusting their bow tie all day in the office, that's just as bad. I don't get it. Oregon, they're a top 4 talented team in the country. One of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country in Dylan Gabriel. One of the top recruiting classes, their best recruiting class in school history this past year at Oregon. They've beaten 2 G5 teams by an average of 6.5 points. They got to get their stuff together. Miami appears to be for real. Cam Ward is probably the best player in the entire ACC conference. Nobody knew about him because he played in Pullman, Washington. All right, Washington State. Still don't know what conference Washington State's in, but the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. He goes to Miami. They mollywop Florida. Then they go over to Florida's recruits after the game and tell them to come to Miami. It turned into a recruiting weekend for Miami, not Florida. Cam Ward's the best player in the ACC so far this year. Tennessee. These are my surprises so far this year. I don't know that Cam Ward being that good is a surprise. But the way some of the things have gone and just how good Miami looks has been a surprise. Can they do it consistently over the course of the year? We'll see. Tennessee looks really freaking good. They got a good defense. Their quarterback, can I nail it again? Nico Imawaleve. I don't know if I got it right.
Iamaliva, I think.
Well, that's not right because I have practiced it and I have heard it right. Sorry, Jake. Oh, God, I nailed it. Just clip when I said it earlier and insert that there, Jake, because I got it right. And I hate it getting names wrong. People butcher my name all the time, and I try not to do it, so I apologize, Nico. He's completing almost 75% of his passes. Tennessee beat a ranked NC State team from a conference that used to be good at basketball, never been great at football, won't even exist in about 5 years. But for now, well, until they played Tennessee, North Carolina State was ranked, beat them 51-10. Josh Heupel is going to be going back to Oklahoma in a couple weeks. Tennessee is going to play the Sooners. Why? Because if you didn't know, they're both in the SEC now. The guy who won a national championship was a Heisman runner-up in the year 2000. Josh Heupel is going to take his team back into Norman. And here's where the sands of time, okay, and your daytime soap opera really gets interesting. Josh Heupel, if you didn't know, was actually brought in as an offensive coordinator under Bob Stoops and then let go. And then let go for Lincoln Riley. Turned out all right, until Lincoln Riley said, you're not good enough anymore, Oklahoma, to go to USC. But that's another twist. Not just a Heisman runner-up coming home, not just a national championship winner coming home. Think about Tommy Frazier going somewhere, coaching the team and coming back. Think about Tommy Frazier being hired as an offensive coordinator, being let go, going somewhere else, building the top 10 team, and then coming back. That's what's happening in Norman when Josh Heupel brings Tennessee into Norman here in the next couple of weeks. Notre Dame. The only reason I'm going to bring this up because I'm sick and tired of talking about them. They're ranked 18th, 1-1. Northern Illinois, 2-0, 25th. Preseason rankings don't make any sense. I'm going to leave it at that. USC plays defense now. That's a surprise. They look like an above-average defense. They actually shut out, it was Utah State, but they actually shut out Utah State. They're giving up an average of 13.5 points a game. When's the last time they did that, Pete Carroll? The surprise is they play defense. Michigan got beat as bad as they did by Texas, and they seem to be worse. I said all offseason they're not going to be anywhere near close to what they were. Oh, they're going to win 10 games. There might be 11-1, 9-3, worst case. I'm thinking 8-4, best case. Texas, I can't believe how good they are. Lost the 2 best D tackles in America, went to the transfer portal, got 3-4, and they have one of the best D tackle rotations in the country. None of those D tackles have to play more than 25, 30 plays a game, so they are fresh, and they're pretty good in their own right. Then they got the 2 best pass rushing defensive ends in the entire SEC. And they haven't played anyone who can really throw the ball yet, so their young secondary hasn't been proven yet, but they look better on defense. think that's all for my surprises. Let's get to the picks. You got any surprises, Jake, before we get to the picks?
I just like the fact that, every year you go in, like you say, with your preseason rankings, we build these brands. They sound so impenetrable. You can't take them down. And then we see a Notre Dame team lose to Northern Illinois. That was one of my favorite stories of the weekend was Thomas Hammock, the coach at Northern Illinois, saying he told his team before the game, hey, Rocket Ismail's not running out of that tunnel. And they didn't know who Rocket Ismail was. So he had to change it to Joe Montana. They knew who that was.
That's disrespectful. Everybody knows the Rocket. All right, we got to go quick. We're over time. It's VJack's fault because he went overtime, but it's all good. All right, Arizona, Kansas State. Wildcats, 7-point favorite. Who you got, Jake?
Oh, boy, that's a good one. I think I'm going to go with the Wildcats. Arizona, there's 2 Wildcats.
I was going to say they're both Wildcats.
Yeah.
Kansas State's a 7-point favorite. You're taking Arizona Wildcats.
I like Arizona, T-Mac, yeah.
I'm going Kansas State. We'll see who's right. Alabama, 16-point favorite going into Madison. Who you got, Wisconsin or the Tide?
I think Rashawn was predicting that Michigan's going into their dark ages. I think Wisconsin will, going away from that running game. I think this is the start of it. Alabama gets the win.
Okay, so it's almost too easy just to pick Alabama. Alabama and the spread, or Wisconsin and the spread. What are you taking?
I'll take Alabama still to cover.
All right, me too. All right, Oregon. And I will not take the spread on this because Oregon has not come close to winning by 16.5 points. This is a rivalry game. This is on the road. Oregon at Oregon State. And in this rivalry, the Civil War is what they call it up in the Northwest. The home team has won the last 4 games in a row. The Beavers are the home team. I'm taking the Ducks, but they will not win or cover the 16.5 point spread. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think they'll cover either. And by the way, reminder, Oregon State just had a few more Pac-12 members jump inside the Pac-12. So they've got something going there a little bit. Maybe they can use that into the weekend.
Who are the members?
It was released late last night that Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State will join the Pac-12 in the 2026-2027 season.
So what's really happening is Washington State and Oregon State are joining the Mountain West. That's really what's happening.
But they're eating the Mountain West, and they're calling it the Pac-12.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Notre Dame, 12.5 point favorite versus in-state rival Purdue. What do you got?
I definitely like Purdue to cover, if not get the win here. Notre Dame's in trouble. Their quarterback might not even play this game, Riley Leonard, which he hasn't been very good to begin with.
Purdue's supposed to be the worst team in the Big Ten. You think they might win outright?
I like Ryan Walters. I think they'll get Hudson Card. Yeah, they can get it going. Devin Mockabee. We know the names.
I think Notre Dame wins, but I don't think they cover. All right. Oklahoma versus Tulane. I put this on here because Tulane about beat Kansas State, and Oklahoma hasn't exactly been trouncing people. To the degree that I thought they would anyways. Oklahoma, 13.5 point favorite. You got the Sooners or you got the Green Wave, Troy Dannon's former squad?
I think you had a close game there. I will pick Oklahoma to get the win, but they had a close game last week. I think it'll happen again.
13.5. It's almost like it's a layup. I'm going to take Oklahoma in two touchdowns.
You are?
I'm not very confident, but I'm going to go with it. All right. Nebraska, Northern Iowa. I'm going to assume you got Nebraska winning. They're a 28.5 point favorite. What's your score prediction, Jake?
Ooh, I do like them to cover. I like to get close to. I'll say they give up. I'll say they give up 7. I'll say that the defense does give up.
No
1.
shutout.
No shutout here happening. Not today. Maybe it'd be late, even with the backups in. But I'll go 42-7.
So I said 42-0 earlier when I joined Vershawn. I did say I had the right to change my mind, and since then, because I wasn't quite ready to give a score prediction yet during commercials, I tend to either wander around aimlessly, as Jake can attest to. Or I like to do research. I've done no research, a lot of wandering aimlessly. But during that time, it gave me time to think that we're going to have backups in that fourth quarter. So it's not going to be 42-0, maybe 42-7, but I'm going 42-3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We got the locker room coming up right after this. Until tomorrow, go Big Red Noise. Remember to throw the ball.
Looking for a place to relax and unwind after a busy day? Cigars Lounge at 8th and Q in the Haymarket is the perfect place to enjoy good company, a cocktail, and of course a cigar. Visit Cigars Lounge on Tuesdays for Top Shelf Tuesday and enjoy 50% off select spirits. Cigars Lounge offers Perdomo, San Cristobal, Rock Patel, and more of the top stogie brands that you know and love. But that's not all. If you mention this ad between noon and 5 p.m., you'll receive 15% off your entire tab just by mentioning the ticket. Check out Cigars Lounge today at 8th and Q in the Haymarket.
Tailored Life is your headquarters for all things fall in Bennett. Make the short drive down Highway 2 for tons of items for your home, both indoors and outdoors. Check out their variety of potted trees, mums, and more. Plus, porch pots and landscape lighting to enhance